Hello and welcome back to Salmon's Pizzeria, where we are returning for another episode of the Championship Penitentiary. It very much is becoming a penitentiary, probably more like Hell in a Cell, if anything. um, of course, I am once again joined by Kieran Ashton. How are you, Kieran?
Yeah, I'm all right. Delighted to be back on. Two disappointing results, you could say, from a Thistle standpoint. Talking about last week's result away at Dunfermline, and obviously the game home at Arbroath. But nonetheless, other than that, it's good to be back on. It's an absolute pleasure.
As it is looking like another big one once again, this one. And of course, we start off with the midweek fixtures. Um, we, of course, have to start off with the championship, where we saw two draws involving the two leaders. And it was Dunfermline drawing 2-2 at home against Partick Thistle. Kieran, thoughts on this one?
Well, just kind of talking about it really. I thought we started the game off well. Before taking the lead. Stanley had a chance just off the line, which was kind of blocked by Abdullahi, and then Oxford managed to gather it pretty quickly. We would then take the lead through Chalmers on the 15th minute from a good looking cross from Fitzpatrick, who crossed it onto Watt, who was backpedaling, and then headed it down for Crawford, who just knocked it on for Chalmers, who would loop Aston Oxborough with his right foot. Um, just from about just inside the box, you would say. And then first half again, just after we took the lead, we would have the ball in the back of the net for a second time, but it was ruled off. I think there was a soft foul on Oxborough, but I mean Ashcroft did kind of have his hand on him. So I mean nowadays goalkeepers are very much they're so protected. You know what I mean? You can't fucking breathe near a keeper without being called off or anything. But yeah, and then just after the game, at 15 minutes after the half time, we would concede through Abdullahi. He would. It was a very scrappy goal to concede, and we should be dealing with it better. It was a cross into the box. I think it was a free kick into the box, and we just don't deal with it. In fact, no, it was a corner. We just don't deal with it. And Abdullahi's just able to bundle over Clark. And then in the 66th minute, we would then restore our lead through Alex Samuel. It was a free kick from an own half from Clark. He would then find Tony Watt, who would knock it down for Samuel, who was running into the channel and just slotted it past the Dunfermline keeper, and right in front of the travelling Thistle support. And then we'd have a chance to extend the lead, but Samuel would just get to it. Samuel just put the ball past the post. There's kind of conversation of whether Oxborough kind of had a touch on it and if it should have been a corner, but can't really make a comment on that, to be honest. But I don't think Dunfermline threatened us enough. I thought we'd done well to get the 3 points, but lo and behold, after us, doing well this season, how good we are, we had to remind ourselves that we are Partick Thistle and we concede late fucking goals and shit the bed when it matters. We would then concede another set piece. Another set piece goal would be an undoing, and ex Thistle, ex Jags man, Kieran and Gwenwa would latch onto a cross that again should have been cleared, should have been dealt with. But yeah, he just puts it past Clark, and aye, it's a bit of a hammer blow, really. Obviously, conceding last minute, it's not that good, especially if it's a late equaliser or obviously a winner. Um, but yeah, obviously, we'll go on to talk about it after this game. But obviously, Saints dropped points at the time as well. I think their game just finished just before us, so we obviously got word that they had conceded late and obviously dropped points. So we were kind of on a high after that during the match, and then obviously to concede last minute for us then to drop points. It was a bit of towing the balls. I think that's now 4 or 5 times now that St Johnstone have dropped points at the same time as us, and we've just failed to take advantage of it. So yeah, it's a bit of a stigma, but I suppose as what it is. Aye, the one positive is they didn't gain any ground on us on Tuesday night, so and we didn't lose any on them. By that's what it is. I suppose and a lot of the players were over applauding the away end, and they looked pretty deflated. They looked like they'd lost the game. Never mind just drawing it, but yeah, we just cannot seem to buy a win away from home. That's still us in the league without a win away from home since Queens Park in October. And if you're wanting to win the league, you can't be having a record like that.
Yeah, it's a case of, like you said, both teams at the top end conceding late on. It's like St Johnstone, as you mentioned, they drew 1-1 away at Queen's Park. Josh Fowler got his, I want to say it's his first goal for the club, and it
Yeah,
comes on his return. It comes on his return to Lesser Hampden, but Ewan Murray got a 90th minute equaliser for Queen's Park, with Morgan Boyes getting sent off a minute later for St Johnstone, which I've not seen anything about it. I've not really
it looked
seen.
very like when it come through on Twitter. It said that he punched. And I don't know who it was
Oh,
that
I
punched.
might
It was
know.
Matty
I know
Fold. It
you're
was
talking about it. Yeah,
Matty Shields, I think.
it was Matt. Yeah, it was on Matty
Matty
Field.
Shields, yeah. And also, I think Enzo sent a screen recording into the chat. It was either him or Cal. I'm not entirely sure, but you can't be reacting like that. It might have looked a bit soft. It might have been like the shittest punch that's ever been thrown. But
Why it's the intent. It's a straight
it's
red
the
every
intent
day of
that's
the
there.
week.
You know what I mean? Like if a Thistle player done that, I'd be raging that he'd done that because you
Aye.
can't do that. You know what I mean? So
But those two championship games, they were the Tuesday fixtures. Meanwhile, Wednesday, so the oh wait, hold on a minute. No, there was another game on the Tuesday. It was a Challenge Cup. Inverness managed to beat Ayr 2-1 away from home. If yep, that's what it was.
yeah,
Um, to put them into the final, which I think I said in the last week's podcast. Wouldn't be entirely surprised if that happened, considering the run of form Ayr have been on recently. So it's like well done to them. Meanwhile, on the Wednesday, it was Airdrie against Rafe, and I was only from what I heard, not much happened in the first half. I was able to catch the second half, and I thought we were a much better side, and we had a deserved lead. But then Airdrie got a goal with 5 minutes to go, which I'm not too mad at because it was just one of those where it's just a really good crossing. Like it's perfect, it's perfectly placed. But once again, Reef managed to get through on penalties, and not long after the location and schedule and all that sort of stuff was announced for the cup final. Now, this is between Inverness, you know, way up, way up north, and Reef Rovers, Kirkcaldy, East Coast, in between Edinburgh and Dundee. Why is the final being played at Firhill in Glasgow?
are
Perth
you
is
really
there.
complaining about a day out in Munscow?
It's like Perth is right there. I understand they've had the issues with the pitch,
Yeah,
so it's a case of okay, I can understand them saying sorry, but with the state of the pitch, can't be played because obviously in the quarterfinals, they had to get their game moved to Falkirk. So why is it not being played at Falkirk? Why is it not being played at Airdrie? You can even have it played at either the Dundee teams. I know the Dundee United pitch is in very much a state, but the Dundee one isn't is nowhere near as bad. But then there's these rumours how it's like, oh, it has to be at a ground of a team that is taking part in the competition or something like that. But it's like, okay, you're having it played in Glasgow. At least Glasgow has pretty good transport links to the rest of the country. You could get direct trains just about anywhere from Glasgow. Same if you were hosting it in Edinburgh. It's a 4 kickoff, which is again a really bizarre time.
yeah.
But what that means is the game will end up finishing if it finishes within the 90, you've got your added time and all that sort of stuff. It's going to finish at about just before 6. the last train from Glasgow Queen Street to Inverness is at 6. And even then, the subway is shut at 6.
Yeah,
So even if you do make the walk to like Kelvin Bridge or St George's Cross or whatever, you're not going to be able to get the subway.
yeah.
It's just what? It's just terrible. I'm
I'm
really
pretty sure
struggling to
as
understand
well,
it.
and when I think this is when it was Iron Brew Cup, just after they moved it for the Ramsden Cup. I'm pretty sure the finals were held. I don't know if it's different rules because obviously they've changed hands now. It's now the KDM Evolution Trophy. But didn't they not have finals at Fir Park and St Johnstone when they were still in the top flight? And I'm
Aye, it
pretty
was still
sure
having
as
those ones. It's
well.
like our game against Rangers was played at Easter Road,
Yeah,
and I think their final against Peterhead,
was
the
it
year
Hampden?
after that got played at Hampden,
Yeah,
which is a choice. It's like
yeah,
when you consider they're playing Peterhead, not exactly the most neutral, but obviously you're gonna have to fit the Rangers fans in. So it's just sort of is what it is. It's financial in that case, but it's like both sides would probably bring about 3,000. I'd say to the final, 4,000
yeah.
each, and it's like there's these. It's like again, Perth Dundee is right there. Why for hell?
Yeah, I don't get it ourselves. I also think Thistle fans kind of speaking. I think hopefully we'll get money from it, so we're kind of see the fine. Hopefully we'll kind of reap the financial side of it. But yeah, I don't get it. It's for it obviously playing on a Sunday as well, 4:10. It just makes no sense. Um, I don't know why. I think obviously I know with McDermott Park they've had their issues with a pitch, and I think that's why they've made that decision to not play it at Perth. Because obviously the pitches are as an absolute tatty field, and I don't even think St Johnstone fans would argue with that. But then you've got stadiums in so for Dunfermline, for example, East
Yeah, it's
End
like
Park.
KDM. It's KDM at East End Park. It's like the
Yeah,
stadium that is sponsored by the sponsors of the tournament.
yeah.
It's-
So you
but
could you could
but then
even
again,
play it there.
it's like
Obviously, I
having
think it
race.
has to be a neutral venue, so
Yeah,
you couldn't host it at Starks Park, for example.
aye, obviously, and it's
But
like even then, it's like you wouldn't want to host it at East End Park
uh,
anyway because Reef are playing.
yeah,
You know exactly what's going to happen.
yeah. I don't know if it was like kind of. I don't know if it was kind of a decision. It was like right, maybe you can't like you couldn't really do it, but it was kind of they were kind of trying to narrow it down, but it makes no sense. Like geographically, it just makes no sense. Obviously, as you said, but it's a bit of a kick in the balls for. I mean, it's a kick in the balls for Ray fans, right enough, but you could probably get back to Fife kind of in time. It's Inverness that,
It's like Fife's relative. It's relatively easy. There's
yeah,
still plenty of trains to Edinburgh. Still plenty of trains to Kirkcaldy from there. And it's even then if you're driving or whatever, it takes an hour, hour and a half at most to get to Glasgow. Sorry, Inverness is 3 hours at least, like 3 hours driving at least. And and again, like I said, it's like no trains or whatever. It's just shambolic. Yeah, I don't even mind it being on the Sunday. It's like typically cup finals are played on the Sunday, but if it was like earlier in the afternoon, even if it's three
yeah,
o'clock or like half two, two, whatever, but it's like 4:10.
on a
It just
Sunday, yeah.
doesn't compute in my mind. But on the one hand, though, Kieran, it does mean there will be a trophy being lifted up for a hill this season.
Hey, there's already been two this season. You know what I mean? So that's three now.
Aye.
But aye,
All the trophy lifts are happening at Firhill.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I it's a good occasion. I don't think we've ever, unless somebody will correct me on this, but I don't think Firhill's actually hosted a Challenge Cup final. At least they haven't for a long, long time. Um,
It'll be one that I'll have to like go through and then fire in the chat
yeah,
later.
go through the archives, but suppose it's a good occasion for the club. I suppose you'll probably see a few Thistle fans that are neutrals going heading on to that, heading along to that. But
I'm
yeah,
dragging
for
you to
but for
Mons.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean it's like I don't know what the morning's all about. You know what I mean? You've got you've got a cup final and you're at Munch. You know what I mean? What more could you ask for? But no, it's a pretty fried decision in my opinion. Like, if I was an Inverness fan or even a Ray fan, it's still quite a bit of a threat on a Sunday as well. You know what I mean? On a Sunday afternoon, it doesn't really make sense to me. But yeah,
Aye, so that's all for that one. We move on to the championship on the Saturday. No Friday night games, unfortunately, for us to talk about. But of course, Saturday did bring about plenty of action. Starting off with battle at the top end, St Johnston were hosting Ayr. Once again, considering the fact I think they played it, yeah, they played each other in the Challenge Cup 2 weeks ago, and then I think they played each other in the league the week before that. It, they seem to kind of get away from each other, but yeah, this one at this time, it went the way of St Johnston. Reese McAleer would open the scoring 50 minutes in. Free kick's only half cleared by it, and then
yeah,
McAleer manages to hit a volley. It just goes through bodies and past the
yeah,
goalkeeper. There's um, not really anything anyone can really do about that. You know, it's just one of those hit and hope, and if it goes through, then hopefully you've caught the keeper off guard, which he did. But it would get an equaliser just 2 minutes later with a cross meeting the head of Liam Dick, former Rover. So nice to see that. 40 minutes in, however, Diabate would head the ball into the top corner. Very nice header from the corner, this one, giving Saints the lead once again. Just before halftime, Reese McAleer almost got his second. A long range volley with his left foot this time. That one hit the crossbar. Second half, meanwhile, there wasn't really anything to. Aside from the goal, there wasn't really anything to talk about with the second half. You know, but even then, the goal itself, calamity between, yeah, miscommunication between Thompson and goal, and Bannigan just sees a ball spill out. Rui Payton just picks it up, just walks around them, and just slots it home for one of the easier goals that he'll get this season.
yeah.
But aye, with that it finishes Saints 3-1. This is a massive win for Saints, especially when you consider the other results we're going to talk about. But even then, you know, we've been saying about their form not being the greatest recently. Meanwhile, they have finally, again after other results, they have finally dropped out of the playoffs. Kieran, your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think it was pretty much really a comfortable win for St Johnson on Saturday. I looked pretty much even after Ayers equaliser, even with their quick equaliser, they done well to get back into it straight away after going down 1-0. Yeah, it was pretty much all St Johnson. I felt it was pretty much comfortable. I don't think St Johnson had to get a third gear. And probably could have been three maybe four, as you said. McLean nearly got his second of the day, hit the crossbar. He was very unlucky with that, but yeah, the goal at 3-1 just completely killed it. I mean, even if they didn't get that goal, I think they would have seen it out. I think they would have won it. Ayr, I don't think really troubled St Johnson. But even after the equaliser or before it, I don't think they could have troubled them. And yeah, Saints deserved the win. I say that with kind of gritty teeth. But yeah, massive result for St Johnson, especially when they're kind of under pressure, you could say. I think Simo Valakari was under quite a bit of pressure as well. And the performances weren't there, and the results certainly weren't matching it. They were dropping quite a few points recently. Um, but aye, and again, it's Ayr. They could probably end up fourth come the weekend. Just with how inconsistent the league has been and how consistent that race for fourth has been. But yeah, considering the others also went their way, it's a bit of not a kick in the balls because I suppose you are going away to the league leaders and not saying you're expected to lose, but maybe you could say it's a free hit. Um, but yeah, when the results going in our way, obviously we'll go on to talk about it. But Dunfermline beating Queen's Park, they then leapfrog them in fourth. Yeah, it's probably a bit disappointing, you could say, for them. Maybe more so they didn't. trouble them and threaten them as much as they should have, especially after the equaliser. But yeah, massive win for St Johnson, 100%.
And it is definitely that, especially in, as mentioned, with all the results today. Air still just looking a bit naff.
Yeah,
Really, like you say, it was just very comfortable. They never really, outside of that goal, I don't think there was a highlight for Air in
no,
the package. So
yeah,
not really too much to talk about there. So we'll move on to the next game involving those at the top of the table, and that is, of course, Partick Thistle at home to Arbroath. Partick sitting second, looking to maintain their 3 point gap to St Johnstone. Meanwhile, Arbroath don't really have anything to play for at this point in the season, really. As mentioned last week, they are effectively guaranteed third with the way things are going. Uh, Kieran, you were, of course, at this game, so I'll let you take us away.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think there's really much to say, to be honest, in this one, compared to the Dunfermline one. I think that was a bit more jam packed. The action in terms of goals, really. I felt Arbroath didn't really come to win the game. It was pretty eye bleeding stuff. They came to frustrate us, and that's what they done. And credit to them. I thought they looked very well organised and defensively compact and very stuffy to break down, and we just couldn't really, answer to that. First half was a real non-event, apart from obviously Danny Riley's red card. So that was pretty frustrating. But it was a pretty terrible game of football all in. I've got no complaints about the red card, about Dan O'Reilly's red card, really. It did look like a stonewaller. I didn't see it at the time when I was in the stadium. I just seen the referee flash a red card, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on there? But yeah, kind of like looking back on it and feel what I seen, feel what I heard from people and that were in the Jackie Osmond stand, they said, yeah, it was pretty much a red card, but there was no complaints there. Yeah, I thought with 10 men, I thought we looked to a better side, funnily enough. Suddenly there was a bit of a burst of energy without making any clear cut chances. I felt we did look a lot more lively, which is weird. Um, but then Clark made an incredible save to deny Finlay Marshall, who's I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's up there for player of the season. Really, and I think his goals gonna say that. I think he's been very underrated. I think he's very underrated in this league as well. Don't think a lot of people give him credit for what it's worth. But yeah, Marshall managed to tip the ball over the bar. I think this was about the 83rd minute or something like that. So it was quite late in the game. But yeah, Arbroath then gets the get O'Brien sent off in the 85th minute. He denied Samuel a goal scoring opportunity. He was running on in goal, and yeah, pulled him down just at the edge of the box. And again, I don't think Arbroath fans would have too much to complain about that. Saying that, there was an Arbroath fan in the away end I've got to give a shout out to, who was probably the most annoyed, angriest away fan I've seen at Farrell, to the point where I think the referee was pretty poor for both sides, but the guy ran down and kicked the gate, like, and tried to go on the pitch. He was that incensed with decisions that are not going his way. It was incredibly funny. That was more entertaining than the fucking game, to be honest. Watching this guy done it about 2 or 3 times. Yeah, so shout out to Green Jacket, a bro fan. You know what I mean, if you're watching. But I don't think he would, mind you. But anyway, yeah. Then towards the end, we would have 2 chances. Ocean Smith would then hit the bar twice within the space of like 6 minutes each other. First was a free kick from the following on from the Samuel challenge that seen O'Brien get sent off. Yeah, he cracked the bar. And then on the press, I think it was like 92nd minute or something like that. The ball fell to Ocean Smith, and he would then hit the bar again, just from the edge of the box. And I thought both of them were destined to go in, to be honest. I think last 10, 15 minutes, you could say we looked a better side. But listen, credit to Arbroath. I thought they came in. I thought they'd done what they set out to do. They came to Farrell and they frustrated us. And listen, it's a good result for them. clean sheet away from home, and kind of they're probably a bit far away from this, shall we say? Not saying that 8 points is still doable, but um, I think it's on the face of it, though, it's a good result for them, and I suppose for us as well. Again, we're not going to grumble after obviously getting a player sent off. Um, to that we're not going to grumble with coming away with a point and a clean sheet. Obviously, it is a bit gutting considering Ayr United drop points, but yeah, the result keeps Arbroath at a distance from us as well. We can kind of keep them at arm's length for now, which is, I'll take that, I suppose. But yeah, that St Johnson obviously now kind of created a bit of a gap at the top, which is a bit frustrating. But yeah, that's what it is. We move on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've made many a comparison this season between this Thistle title challenge and Race one a few years back, where it's a case of seemingly every time Dundee United, now in this scenario, St Johnstone, every time they slip
Yeah,
up and there's a chance, these also slip up.
yeah,
It's been pretty consistent theme throughout this season. But meanwhile for our growth, like I said beforehand, it was just a case of they don't really have much to play for. Looking at it now, and it's becoming even more certain that they are going to finish third. Yes, they are 8 points behind Thistle with a game in hand, but even then, with 10 games left, of course, Ayr having game in hand on them, the gap to those behind is also 8 points. They're sitting just very comfortably in that third spot, and I don't think anyone can really complain about it.
no, absolutely not. I don't think so. I think they've been really. I think some would say, and I'd probably tend to agree with this as well. I think they're a bit of a gang at times. But whether that's down to them being well organised or more being stuffy, I think it's probably got a bit of both. But no, they're there on merit. You know what I mean? They're there for a reason. They're probably been out of that kind of mid pack and down the bottom. They're probably been they have been the more consistent team this season. And yeah, they're there on merit, without a doubt. I think that point is really important for them to kind of just keep, as well as kind of, I suppose, keep tabs on us a wee bit. But it kind of gives them a bit of breathing space between third and whatever the hell's happening for the fourth, the race for fourth. You know what I mean? But and I think Arbroath again. I think they would have bit your hand. I think they would have bit your hand off for anything above nines this season. Getting into the start of it, survival probably would have been their main goal, but they've punched well above their weight this season. And yeah, I think if they did, and I don't think they will now, but if they did drop out the playoffs, I think they'd be quite annoyed with how well the seasons went. But I don't think they will. I think they'll be at the very worst finish fourth, but yeah, I don't see them finishing anywhere lower than third now. I think the gap's just a bit too much for teams to kind of carry on, and I don't see teams like your Ayers, your Dunfermlines kind of catching up to them now. I don't see them pulling a run, a miraculous run together to go above Arbroath, but aye, it was just pretty frustrating to watch, but yeah,
Yeah, I was just going to add there, it's like considering going into the season, their expectation would have been just to stay in the division. They are currently 15 points clear of both Airdrie and Ross County. So they're basically 5 games from safety. So,
yeah,
they're very close to guaranteeing that they will be in division next season. Saying that, no one has guaranteed survival yet. I've just realised. We're in March and no one is guaranteed to be safe. Although saying that, St Johnson are 2 points from the theoretical safety barrier. So is what it is. But all right, we'll move on now to we're gonna head into the big pile of everyone else that has become this division. We're going to start off with Airdrie against Morton. Airdrie, they were looking to get out of their recent rut of form that we were on about last episode. Morton, meanwhile, they were looking to try and get their surprise playoff push back on track. With this one, Morton, a well placed ball at the top would find Michael Garrity, which gave them the lead 10 minutes in. And from that, they looked comfortable until 5 minutes later, Dom Thomas would get his first goal in pretty spectacular style with a strike from 25 yards, finding the top left corner. Definitely going into the goal of the season candidates file, this one.
Definitely.
Although saying that for the rest of the first half, well, for the next uh, 20 minutes, it was very much all Morton. You know, it was
Yeah.
Morton were really much on top. And then in the 36th minute, Cammy Ballantyne would get sent off for a reckless challenge. And looking at it, I don't really see any complaints. You know, it's like it was right in front of the Morton bench,
Mhm.
and they weren't doing anything about it. I think it was one that they just knew. They knew it was a red straight away, pretty much. Um, Adrian would take advantage of having 10 men eventually. Even with the 10 men, Morton was still looking pretty good. Dom Thomas again getting his second, and Adri's second, and giving them the lead. Balls and just sort of nodded down to him at a corner, and he just volleys it home. The rest of the half, it was pretty even. I'd say, you know, Morton still looked like they were capable of getting an equaliser. Adri had a couple of good chances. But then in the 83rd minute, Curtis Main for Morton would get himself sent off as well. Again, a pretty reckless challenge. He went in with like a sort of scissor motion and like above the ankle. Again, no complaints about this one. You know, it's just really poor from Morton, the discipline in this one, because with those two red cards. And then not long after, Charlie MacArthur would head home from a corner to give Adri, in the end, a comfortable 3-1 victory. But seeing how that game went, looking at the highlights, is a case of if it's 11v11, like Morton come away with at least a draw.
Yeah.
Um, they had so many chances, and even with 10 men, they had plenty of chances to get an equaliser. So it would have been interesting to see how that would have gone for them. You know, it's real. Again, with the other results, it's a real missed opportunity for Morton. But for Adri, it's a huge one.
Yeah,
Huge one. You
definitely.
know, it brings them. It starts to bring them closer to the midfield. You know, it's no, not mentioned yet, but you know, it's with other results. You know, it's started to close the gap. But yeah, Kieran, your thoughts on this game? Anything to add?
I think you're pretty much spot on. I think Morton had their chances, even when they had the man down. I thought they had their chances as well to get back into the game. And but I don't think they'll have any complaint. I don't think Morton will have any complaints for both their tackles. I think they've let Morton down. The two players, with just stupid challenges like that, and obviously it's led to them getting beat 3-1. I thought Dom Thomas looked really good for Airdrie on the highlights. I thought his first goal was good, and then second goal, yeah, I mean, that's a good goal, but suppose Morton shouldn't be giving them that space, but that's what happens when you're a man down. Obviously, then they go into lose another man, but massive result for Airdrie, taking the results that happened. Missed opportunity for Morton as well. Taking the other results into account as well. But Morton. It was just complete stupidity for the two Morton players, and it's ultimately cost them. Because as you said, if it was 11v11, I think Morton would have gave them more of a game. And even when they were a man down before they lost their second man, I thought they were still, creating chances, and I thought they were still giving Airdrie a good go. But ultimately, day two red cards. I've cost them. I've cost them a win, a vital win. You know what I mean? That probably could have seen them kind of drag themselves out of that. Not drag themselves into midfield, but get close to drag themselves out of it. But yeah, in the end they come away with nothing and they're dragged right back into the dogfight down at the bottom end.
Yeah, it's like it was a real opportunity to put themselves on that sort of 33-point group. But it's like, in terms of edgery, it's like it is a very good result for them, as
Yeah,
mentioned. But given the context of having played against 10 men for nearly an hour, having finished off against a team of 9 men, not entirely convincing. So, again, good result, but I wouldn't get ahead of myself.
yeah,
Uh, it's one that can be a boost, but it could also, like we said, Morton, with the litany of chances, despite being down the man, that's probably something of concern.
yeah.
But I will move on now to Dunfermline at home to Queen's Park. Dunfermline were in the worst form of the division with their 3 defeats in a row before the midweek draw against Thistle. Meanwhile, Queen's Park were coming in as one of the informed teams in the league. I think they've been in the best run of form in the 5 beforehand. Somehow, welcome to the championship this season. This was a surprisingly action-packed game, to say the least. The deadlock was broken in the 25th minute. Callum Morrison scoring a penalty for Dunfermline, one which I had to look back a couple of times to understand why it was a penalty.
Yeah,
It just didn't look right. But then whoever was a defender for Queen's Park just misses the ball and kicks a Dunfermline boy. Uh,
yeah,
so I just not the greatest angle for it. For on the highlights to understand what it is, but it is a penalty, and Callum Morrison does well to tuck it away. Outside of that, I am baffled as to how no one scored from open play or even from a set piece or whatever. There's so many chances for both teams, good chances at that. It's the Queens Park came close with. I'm not sure who it was, but it's like the boy ran across the goal. He was free, and then he was at the front post, and it just went like 90 degrees that way instead of the other way in towards the net. Just completely wrong angle. Just
I'm
completely
pretty
mucked
sure
it
as
up.
well. Queens are just to add on to that, the other chance. I think it was a volley. I think it was just on the edge of the box. I think it just went past the post. I think
And
that
there was
was.
that one. There was one that Oxborough is his name.
Mhm.
Oxborough. I managed to get down low quickly to stop one. It was a really good save. Yeah, Queens Park can definitely consider themselves unlucky to have not got a goal and potentially at least a point. Dunfermline, meanwhile, can consider themselves unlucky not to have won this by more.
Yeah,
I don't really think there wasn't any saves by Ferry that wowed me. It was more a case of like there was just so many. It's like they got into the ball so many times and had so many shots, but they just kept on going wide.
yeah,
They just couldn't get them on target. It is. It's like this game was a prime example of just poor finishing, really.
yeah, definitely.
But I'm not sure if you've got anything else to add to this.
Nah, pretty much, Callum. I think you've hit the nail on the head. As you say, I think it was a pretty end-to-end game. And I think as well as I think Queens Park cut the bar as well. Um,
Yeah, I think they did actually.
yeah. So I mean, the Fairmont had chances of their own to finish a game, but they just couldn't finish it there. But nonetheless, clean sheet at home, and with that win, they then leapfrog Ayr, and that's them now in the playoff spot. With a game in hand as well. Let's not forget that. But really good result for them. But Queen's Park were feel very unlucky not to come away with something there. And considering, as we're going to talk about, obviously the county and Airdrie results, but they're still in eighth. Obviously they're still 2 points ahead. It's only 2 points, but they're still in eighth now, so they've not fallen down. A place in the league, but they would feel kind of gutted not to get something, just considering how the results went at the weekend. But how they didn't score, or how any of them didn't get another goal that game. I don't know. I don't know how that didn't happen. But on the face of it, it's a massive result for Dunfermline. You know what I mean? It's just a case of whether or not they carry on for this and try and consolidate fourth.
I think evidence across the season suggests no.
No, yeah.
It suggests no. It's nothing makes sense in this division, and it's like you say, that Queens Park, they thought they would have. It's like a recent run of form. Like I said, they've been on the best form in the division. They're still only with that loss and with Edry's win and another win for Ross County, as well. We get on to mention, they're back to being 2 points. They're back to being
Yeah.
2 points off of them, but they are still also 5 points off of the promotion playoffs. This league is just hell. This is just interesting. And again, as mentioned, Dunfermline now above Ayr on goal difference by 1. Like you say, they do have a game in hand on Thistle, St Johnstone, and a couple others, but Ayr also have a game in hand on Dunfermline. There is a couple of fixtures this Tuesday and the following Tuesday as well. It's going to be fixtures midweek until the end of the season, I think, just with the way things are going. But a big one for Dunfermline, and Queens Park once again now having to look over their shoulders, just as they thought they got away, and it's like, nope, we're back. But this leaves one more game, and it is the one that anyone listening or watching will be looking forward to. It is, of course, Ross County at home to Raith Rovers. Bottom of the league, hosting a team with the worst away record. What could possibly go wrong? Well, a lot, actually. A lot could go wrong. County would have the ball in the back of the net early on, a free kick being headed in, but it was chalked as offside. Got very lucky with that one because whoever the County player was completely unmarked.
I think it was Declan Gallagher.
It can't be Declan Gallagher because he's not at the club. I think.
Never mind then.
I'd be impressed if it was Declan Gallagher. I believe he got released at the end of January alongside Gary Mackay-Steven. But no idea who it was who did it. But eventually, it didn't matter. Raith would not learn their lesson when it comes to set pieces, as a corner would come in, and despite it, so it's like it falls to the back post, and it hits off either a County player or Scott Brown. And there is a claim for handball. And the entire Raith team just stops. Ref hasn't blown the whistle. And Jordan White has taken complete advantage of this, just smashing the ball home after it is bounced twice, like halfway between Brown and Enzio. And Enzio was goal side until it hit the other two players. Until it hit them, Enzio was goal side of White, and he just stood there. And his attempt at defending, is like following on to his man was just to like pull his shirt back. That didn't work, and it's like that's us 1-0 down from pretty amateur defending, to put it lightly. It's like, again, it's like maybe there was a handball. Still doesn't excuse how it went down. It's like the ball bounces twice in this no man's land and no one goes for it. No one makes an effort to cover or whatever. It's just really pathetic goal to concede. And then do I think Reef would have a chance? There was a claim for handball, actually. Again, I'm going to be mentioning handballs a lot in this one, where I think Vaughan had a pop shot from just outside the box, and it does hit a county player on like his hands, but it's like his hands are like
Yeah.
camera's not showing it, but like just in front of the body, and it's just sort of it's away from. It's like the referee can't see the hands, neither can the lines. I'm not entirely sure about the linesman and his positioning at that half, but it's just one of those. Again, it's just not given, not. It's like not too much I can complain about. And then from the resulting corner, ball falls perfectly at the back post to Dara O'Connor, who is charging in. He is like 4 yards from the goal. And despite being at the back post, the ball flies up over the stand towards the other corner of the goal. Is what? I don't. We are allergic to scoring a goal, especially away from home. I can't remember the last
Yeah.
time we scored a goal away from. Actually, no, it was Ayr. It was Ayr away. That's our only away goal so far this year. Aside from that, I couldn't tell you the last one in the league anyway. But it's like we just seem completely
How
allergic to
long ago
scoring
was that,
goals.
Callum?
Was that
How long
Ayr?
ago was
That
that?
was Ayr was a month ago, and
Right.
then we had like something like 3 or 4 0 draws in that time, and
Yeah, yeah.
I just it's like I knew it was bad watching in person, but it's like seeing the highlights, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Just cannot believe did not put that away, and we ended up being punished for it. Not long after, as right before half time, another corner would come in, and Uche Ikpiazu manages to score free header. Free header. It's fucking Uche. How do you lose him? He's huge. How do you let him get a free header? Again, it's just
Yeah.
like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Second half, not much to be said. There was a couple. Again, there was another penalty claim for me for like a handball where it's like a cross deflects off a county player and then it hits another county player on the arm, but it's like the county player's arms like by his side. It's not a penalty.
Yeah.
Nothing for me to complain about. And then County then had another opportunity, another penalty shout at their end. It was just a bit soft, but yeah, just not much. I'm not afraid to say it. Reef are fucked. It's like after watching that, it was just a case of. I said last week it was a case of like the recent draws were fine in the context of individually, but it's like we needed to win this one.
Yeah.
And I said, it's like after draw against St Johnson, it is a case of right, my hand is away from the big panic button with like the glass case or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that was my hand going back, grabbing the little emergency hammer that you see and going a bang. I am fully on the panic now button.
Yeah.
Because if you look at form tables, over the last 20 games, we're bottom. Over the last 15 games, we're bottom. Over the last 10 games, we're ninth, ahead by a point or two. And for the last 5, we are eighth, ahead of ninth, who is A United on goal difference. And then ahead of bottom by a point. Next, this March
As
is
well as that, Callum, sorry, that's 3 wins in 19 as well.
something ridiculous like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It somehow the only thing keeping us from the bottom is somehow Barry Robson and his start of the season,
Mhm.
and that's what is annoying me because that start was good, and it's just gone completely to shit. and it has done so under multiple managers now.
Yeah.
It's like managers aren't until recently, managers aren't in control of recruitment. It was like that under Murray, it was like that under Collins, and it was like that under Robson. And it's like for the start until like halfway through February, it was like that under Emery.
Yeah.
Evidently, the issue is not the manager; it is clearly the players because we barely changed our squad over the last few years. And it's like when you consider the squad finished second, you might think, okay, it makes sense to do that for another season because you've got like a good core, add to it, that whole sort of thing. For 3 seasons later, and we still basically have the same core, and said before about us having one of the oldest squads in the league. It shows. It shows. And as I was about to say, this next month is massive.
Yeah.
It is huge. Because the 3 games that we definitely have this month, because as we'll get onto, we don't have a game at the weekend because Partick Thistle are still in the Scottish Cup. Got Dunfermline away from home. As mentioned, we are the worst team away from home. Of course, this is a derby, but as mentioned with the form tables, when it comes to the last 5, Dunfermline are bottom, a point behind us, and they just won. We then have 2 home games. Ayr United, who are terrible at home, but are pretty decent away. But in their last 5 games, they are the second worst team. We are ahead of them on goal difference, somehow. And then there is, of course, at home, Airdrie, who are the team just above us. They've had 1 more point than us from the last 5. If we don't come away with at least 5 points, we're down. I am fully convinced we are down. Because I don't see anywhere else we're going to get wins. I really
Yeah.
don't. Maybe
Well,
Ross County
you
at
know the
home.
answer to that, Cal.
We've got County and Partick at home, and even then, it's like you say, Partick haven't won away from home since October. We've not won away from home since September.
Yeah.
It can get worse. So, yeah, I am really, really panicking now. And even then, it's like over this January window, I would not say we've strengthened. And it's like we're in March now. There is nothing there. We try to Winter. He's played a couple of games. He just sort of exists. Ennis Cameron, he's played a couple of games and he's been impressive. He was good against Airdrie. He had a penalty claim in this game, but it wasn't really one because County Boy got the ball and then the other County player came in and probably would have got the ball if the other one didn't. One of those was quite unlucky with it. I've been impressed with him so far, but yeah, it's bad. It is really bad, and it is. I should have mentioned this earlier. With the Challenge Cup final being Rafe against Inverness, the last time this was meant to happen was 2020, and it's like it was around about this time 6 years ago, not long after COVID came in. It's like, oh, it's a world-ending pandemic. We're stopping everything. Of course, same week that is confirmed that it's Rafe against Inverness for the Challenge Cup final. Whatever the fuck's going on in the Middle East has started. So all I'm saying is, if it gets bad enough, at least Rafe won't get relegated, and the season just gets stopped. But it's like my hopes for Rafe staying up should not rely on a straight Iranian missile. Like, what are we doing here? This is a team I predicted for the playoffs with how it ended last year, and it's just complete opposite.
Yeah.
It's dreadful. I cannot. If we do survive, it's going to be like a cull. It's going to be a culling in the summer, and I don't even mean that figuratively. I think there will be
Yeah.
people who will take the culling sort of segment of it literally. This is terrible. County, meanwhile, they weren't impressive. They really weren't impressive either. it, like I say, it's like outside of those, it's like 2 set-piece goals with amateur defending. Outside of that, never there wasn't really any big chances from them. It was as I expected going into this. It's a really shit game of football, but on the whole, a class day out. We'll put it that way.
Yeah,
But yeah, but it's with that result and all of the other results. We have turned this league into a complete clusterfuck because now, as mentioned, Dunfermline are in fourth. They're on 33 points. County are on 26 and are bottom. It is 7 points between fourth and 10th, and we have 9 or 10 games still to play. Anyone can finish anywhere.
yeah,
We have seen everyone in this bottom six be utterly terrible for long periods of time now. Good luck. You honestly have a better chance of winning the roulette than predicting who's going to finish in fourth or who's going to finish bottom or who's going to finish ninth. I have no idea. And it's scary to be involved in. We'll put it that
yeah,
way. Um,
yeah, definitely. Cal. It's very bleak at the moment. I mean, on the face of it, you look at the league table, and you're sitting there going, "Ah, but you're sick. You're all right. No, you're still only what 4 points away from the drop. And 4 points away from ninth as well. Looking at the table now, and aye, I've got this in my notes. Is like obviously talking about your panic button analogy there, saying, "Are you pressing the panic button?" I think you're hammering fuck at the panic button. Um, it's yeah, I think you can definitely say now that's Rafe 100% in trouble, and I think that sentiment's echoed all over Twitter. A lot of Rafe fans are in the same position as you. And even then, I get sent something, but I think it was on in the press. But by a fellow Rafe fan, goes by the name of Kieran. I don't know if he listens to it, but shout out to you. Says that Emery came out in the press, and you've probably seen it. I don't know if you have, Callum, yourself, but he's come out and kind of warned players that if they don't buck up their ideas and don't end this worrying on a form, they could potentially cost employees at the club their livelihoods if they go down. Um, yeah, it's not looking good. I still think you will be all right, but I mean that's from a neutral perspective. That's not a Wraith fan. I think if I was a Wraith fan, I would be worried as well. Incredibly worried, especially a team that were a ball head away for the playoffs last year. But who missed out in the playoffs obviously due to us winning on the final day. But and some may have even predicted J4 finishing the playoffs, but yeah, it's not good. It's an absolute dogfight down there, and teams are starting to, as you said, obviously Ross County, Airdrie starting to pick up results. Queens Park on a bit of the fun as well, and when your team can't buy a win, you're starting to worry. Starting to worry about big time, and I get the nail on the head with Ross County as well. Apart from their 2 goals, which was again very poor defending. Even the first one, that was the one that they had called offside. The defending for that was piss poor, like incredibly piss poor. Um, it's not good, but it's a massive result for Ross County as well. That's level 1 points for now, and as you said, they've dragged 4 teams right back into it. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a mental league to kind of be in. But I'm just glad I'm not involved in the whatever the fuck is happening down there. I'm so glad I'm not involved in the fight for fourth place, because even you could even say them Air or Fairland are still kind of not really that safe. I think that may be a bit of a stretch, but you know, still not. Still not. There's still not much points between. Not a lot of breathing space, shall we say? Sorry, between fourth and ninth, 10th as well. You know what I mean? Aye, definitely. I think you've got every right to. I think the Rafe fans are as well as a whole. They've got every right to be pretty fucking worried.
I've just had a look at our results so far this season. Our last win away from home was against Morton, and that was on the 6th of September. We
Jesus.
have played 11 away games since then. We have scored twice. Thank fuck the majority of our remaining fixtures are at home.
Yeah.
It's like if it was a more of a 50-50 split, I'd be even more worried. I'd be completely terrified. Like I mentioned, we got Dunfermline away and then Airdrie and Ayr at home. After that, um, we got Queens Park away, Morton at home, Arbroath away, Saints and County at home. This is going to the final day.
Yeah.
And
What was the feeling? What was the feeling at full time? For the Ray fans, what was it? Pretty much, was it anger? Was it?
it was. See, once when we went 2-0 down, it was just a collective. Oh fuck!
Yeah.
It was a real collective. Oh fuck! And then it's like we'd seen the other results. Airdrie winning, Dunfermline winning. Yeah, and that just compounded the oh fuck
Yeah.
to oh god, oh fuck, oh no, this is bad. And,
Yeah.
it's like getting all this stuff. It's like 3 wins in 19. As I mentioned, 2 goals in our last 11 away games since our last away victory at the beginning of September, being bottom of all these form tables. It's like Doogie knows. Doogie knows, and he's trying to get what he can out of the players. But it's fucked.
Yeah. Do you think that's down to players kind of coasting?
Aye,
Or
that's very much what it is, really. That's all it can really be put down to, just not putting the effort in and just such amateurish mistakes and everything. It's just. I'm glad that Ross County is like after Dunfermline. Like I said, the away days are Arbroath and St Johnston, but it's like that and Queens Park. I'm not bothering with any of them. I'm not bothering with any of the away days after Dunfermline. It's because it's just chucking money down the drain at this point. It probably was ages ago, but it's like I've got Ross County out of the way, so I don't have to bother for the rest of the season. I've been to every ground, but yeah, it's like I've got a season ticket, and it's kind of mandatory when you've got a season ticket. It feels that way.
yeah.
If it wasn't for that, I would not be wasting my money on this team. Really wouldn't. But I suppose, yeah, I would say that's my rant over. My therapy session is concluded. So we'll go on to the fixtures for this coming week. So on Tuesday, we have Arbroath versus Ayr and Dunfermline against Ross County. Kieran, any thoughts on these ones?
Well, I think it's for the Ross County game. I think that's another big win for them. So I mean, they could climb back up in the championship. They could climb back up, and it's against a Dunfermline team that are pretty inconsistent, shall we say? Aye, but I mean, it's Ross County. Just both teams have been very, very poor, to be honest. A win for Dunfermline, I think, would be massive. That would have them 3 well, depending on the Arbroath here result. That if they're going to lose that, that's 3 points clear. And fourth. So it's a massive game. I think the 2 games are massive for both. Dunfermline and there. But I don't know. I don't think you can call it. For Arbroath though, I mean, it's just as you said. I think they're just existing. and third, to be honest. I think the only kind of offence are given in the league, any positions are given in the league, it's Arbroath and third. So they don't really have much to play for, you could say. I mean, a win brings 5 points behind us. So, um, yeah, you could say that they could, if they win that, they can get quite close to us. But I don't know. But for more so for Dunfermline, Ross County, and Arbroath, it's you know, I mean, I'm in for Ross County and Arbroath beat Ayr. That drags Ayr right back down into the dog fight. But I don't know. It's tricky to call, really. Tricky to call. But in terms of the kind of midfield, kind of the mid kind of table pack and relegation, so I win obviously Ross County win that. They will. I think they'll leap. Well, they'll leapfrog both our Airdrie and Queens Park. So that could be a massive one for them if they win that. But aye. For the both relegation and midfield pack, it's pretty an important game. But for Arbroath, I think they can just kind of chill out, cigars out, knowing they're not really in any danger.
Yeah, it's like for Arbroath, it's like a win for them. It's like depending on the other result, it means with 9 games left, they'll still either be 8 points clear, or they could be 10 or 11 points clear
Yeah,
if Dunfermline fail to win. And it's like you say about being 5 points behind Thistle. It's like if you reach 10 points clear of the relegation pack with 9 games to go, you're like that's it. That is completely it. There'd be no chance of them blowing that. None at
yeah,
all. But it's like with Air is really must-win territory. Really is. With everything that's going on below them, and then of course Dunfermline, Ross County, as you said, Dunfermline with their playoff push must-win for them. A county win would just make this relegation scrap even worse.
yeah,
4 points between ninth and fourth. This, what on earth? This-
yeah,
but I will move on to the weekend's fixtures. We have Queen's Park at home to Airdrie, in what will be a massive game at the bottom end of the table. That one's at a 1 p.m. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff on the Saturday. That is because Scotland are playing Luxembourg in a Women's World Cup qualifier at, I think it was 6, 6:30 or something like that. And obviously, as you can probably guess by the moving of times, it is being played at Big Hampden. So who
yeah.
knows? You can get a double header in of Queen's Park and Queen's Park against Adrian and Scotland against Luxembourg. Uh, Living the footballing life, I suppose. Meanwhile, there are only 2 other league fixtures as Arbroath take on Ross County and Morton take on St Johnstone. These are both 3 p.m. kickoffs in case it was needing clarified. But of course, there is the Scottish Cup quarter-finals where we have 2 representatives. Dunfermline, they are at home to Aberdeen. That's a 7:30 kickoff live on BBC Scotland. Last I'd seen, 8,500 tickets have been sold for that. 4,700 were Pars fans, um, which you'd be expecting more, really.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's like paydays around the corner, so I'd imagine they'd be pretty close to selling that out. I believe Aberdeen are very close to selling out their allocation, and depending on sales, they may get the northeast stand because it's like that north stand split into northwest and northeast, so could get a couple more Aberdeen fans in there. And with it being on BBC Scotland and Scottish Premiership tie, on the one hand, at least Dunfermline will get a big payday. Hopefully, that can help fill the £1.7 million gap in funding they have. So,
Well, saying that, I think the guy that owns them, I think he's just paid that off at a stroke, to be honest. So, I think he's
I
pretty much
pay
in. I don't think they'll be.
somehow paying off more than what Roy McGregor's having to pay off for Ross County with their £1.5 million losses. Jesus Christ. I'm saying all of this. I cannot wait for the Rafa Council. It just says, yeah, we got £3 million in debt. We're going under next season. It's just like, go. Honestly, I think it would be pure karma if Rafa were to get relegated and to go into administration. It's, considering the last 2 years of my online behaviour, I think a lot of people would be celebrating knowing what I have to go through. All right, moving on. We do have Sunday at 7:30 of all times, as if 4 wasn't bad enough. Partick Thistle make the trek to St Mirren. Kieran, thoughts on S1 going into it, and of course the weird timing for kickoff.
Yeah, the weird timing. I suppose it's not much um, an aggrievement, you could say. Not much to kind of be annoyed about. It's just across the water to Paisley, as compared to bloody Inverness. Inverness fans having to go to Firhill on a Sunday, or a Sunday evening, kind of late afternoon, for a Challenge Cup final. But I mean, fair enough, I suppose. But aye, looking forward to it. I think if your club's in a quarter final and you can't get up for it, then I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what's wrong with you. I've got my ticket. I was successful in the first ballot. Not a lot of people were. Successful in the first ballot. It took my friend who's been a season ticket holder for, I want to say, 15 years now, maybe more than that. It took him 2 attempts in the ballot. So they released a second ballot and he managed to get his ticket. But yeah, nonetheless, looking forward to it. I think we'll sell out. I think we've pretty much already near enough sold out our allocation. And I think it's out of the. I think I've said it a few times now, but I think it's probably the better like Premiership teams we could have got. St Mirren obviously drew away to Livingston at the weekend. They're not in the best of form at the moment, but I mean Paisley's not an easy place to go to. Despite how good they are, and obviously there is still the gap between the Premiership and the Scottish Championship. But I hope we go and give them a good game, and I think if we get at them, I think they've got a real good chance of doing something. But aye, it's 90 minutes away for Hampden. It's these kind of teams you've got to beat to get to Hampden, you know what I mean? So, and we avoid, obviously, the bigger kind of teams. We avoid your Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen. So, aye, nonetheless, looking forward to that. I think Dunfermline and Aberdeen will be a good game as well. Potential banana skin as well. Aberdeen haven't been the best, and obviously we've seen what Dunfermline could do to Premier League opposition, or Premiership opposition, sorry. In the Scottish Cup, in the previous round at home to Hibs. So, I think it was the last two previous. Aye, because it was the one because he beat obviously Kelly Hearts in the fifth round, I think. So, aye, that should be a good one as well. But aye, I'm looking forward to Paisley. I'm looking forward to St Mirren away. Probably not looking forward to having to go through the hordes of the fucking rabid Old Firm fans that will be in town. Obviously, because they play in the afternoon, so I'm not really looking forward to that aspect of that. But aye, nonetheless, bring them on.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like the whole firm's at 1 p.m. on the same day, so you're going to have a right
Yeah.
laugh going through war-torn Glasgow to get to Paisley, which is war-torn anyway. But yeah, like you say, when it comes
There's been a lot of one-ton references in this podcast, Cal.
But yeah, it's like you mentioned about St Mirren being the best, probably the best possible team to get in the cup in this draw. Looking at their form, the last 4 is a draw and then 3 losses in a row. And, you know, it's like the only team on the worst run of form. Aberdeen are winless with 4 losses and a draw. So, you know, it's with Thistle, I do back them. I do back them to beat St Mirren, even at the Smicer.
That's us lost 3-0, Cal. Thanks.
You're welcome. If Thistle were at home to Aberdeen, I'd back yous. Away from home, I've got no idea. Like you say, away from home's not the best, which actually, come to think of it, congrats at Merrin, you've got this win. If Dunfermline were a competent football team and were like fourth on say 40 points and on a decent run of form, I'd fully back them to beat this Aberdeen team because having watched them at Pittodrie, they were terrible,
Yeah.
and and we're shit. We're really shit, and Aberdeen weren't that much better. If Dunfermline, we've seen Dunfermline perform, and if they
Yeah.
do that, they can win this one comfortably. I genuinely, I hate to say that, but I do believe that. But we've seen Dunfermline enough times to know they could completely shit the bed and somehow lose 4-0. But it's like with the Premiership teams, like even basically got the two best options from a Championship perspective, and it's like the next best possible one would have been Dundee United. They've also
Yeah.
only got one win in five, and they're not being on the best. They needed. Did they need? I think they needed extra time to get past Spartans in the last round.
I don't think they did, but I think Spartans conceded. I think Spartans conceded. No, I think Spartans got a goal back late on. It was quite
What
tight,
was
but
it?
I don't. They didn't
Oh
need
no,
extra
I
time.
I 31st, 55th minute for Dundee United, 78th for Spartans. I was gonna say it's not the most convincing win, but yeah, I will not be surprised if there is a championship team in the next round in the Scottish Cup semi final. But of course, we will be talking about potential semi finals next week. Yes, we will be back for that. I will be a lot happier because it's really fun playing this weekend. So, that will be us for this week. Bye for now.
Catch you after.